and good morning, and welcome to Touch Base Daily. I have my little screen up here before. That's what we're going to talk about later. But anyway, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing on this wonderful Monday morning, Motivation Monday? My name is Ron Foster. I'm here to touch base with you every day as I do. And I hope everyone had a great weekend and all rested up for the new week. I hope you're all ready for the new weekend. I am a lot. I have a big event tomorrow to photograph. I'm so excited. A nice, great client, a beautiful client. And so I'll be photographing the folks at Verizon tomorrow, which is big. That's going to be so exciting. And so, yes, welcome. Who is in the room? Who is in the room? Let's say hello. Rashawn is number one. She gets the gold today. Rashawn, good morning, Ron and RLP family. Anthony, good morning. Back in McKinney, Texas. Yes. Oh, I bet you had a wonderful time in Brazil. I want to go to Brazil one day. Brazil is on my wish list. And I am Rashawn. Says good morning to Anthony. Kelly A is in the building with the bronze this morning. Good morning, she says, everyone. And we have Chrissy's Corner in the building. We have Alieze in the building. We have Hannah in the building. What's going on, Hannah? What's going on? And I see all the good morning and all the love. And Anthony said, it was amazing. There's so much to photograph in Brazil. The people, the landscapes, the culture, the foods. It's like a photographer's heaven. And I have so many friends who have photographed in Brazil and they love it. And I am just jealous, Anthony. I'm jealous. I am so jealous. Anyway, I'm not really. I'm excited. I'm excited for you, buddy. And I can't wait to see some of the photos from your time in Brazil. Brazil, as they say, Brazil. So what's going on, y'all? What did you do this weekend? First of all, what are you drinking this morning? What's in your cup right now? Well, please tell me. Right now, I have my lemon orange aid concoction with some agave. I make my own, lemonade, but this one was a little more. I had lemonade, and then Omar left some oranges when he was here. So I said, you know what? I'm going to add the oranges in here as well. And I made a brew. Elise says he's drinking water. Elise is drinking water. Brian is in the building. What's going on, Brian? So good to see you, bro. And Brian he was at the rally this weekend. We all tuned in on, I think, was it Saturday or was it yesterday? I can't remember what day it was. I think it was yesterday when he was, it was yesterday. The folks from, Brian says mimosa. He says, I wish. What are you drinking this morning, y'all? What are you drinking this morning? So Brian was at rally camp, what do you want to call a bus tour of the folks from Scandal that were on a bus tour for Kamala. That was interesting, and it was so good. And thank you, Brian, for sharing that with us because I was tuned in. I was not going to leave it, and it was. Scandal is one of those. The cast of Scandal is really amazing because they have all, for the most part, maintained their friendships to this day. It's the same with The West Wing. It's interesting that these shows that were dealing with politics have longevity in friendships. And so it's really good. He said the entire cast of Scandal were on the bus tour. And I'm looking forward to, Brian, if you want to come on and share that, let me just send the invitation to you, my friend. Let me invite him. Let me get Brian. Also, I'm sending one to Elise also. I know it's a Monday. I usually just go it alone, but I say, you know what? Today there's a lot going on. You know, as we get closer to the election, we'll just be having a good time together and sharing together. And because so much is happening, and it would be good to have more brains and more brain power, because when there's more of us in the conversation, we have a better conversation and we all grow and learn. There we go. Brian, I sent that out to you in case you want to come on. If you are not driving somewhere or you're stuck at a school with Xavier. So there you go. I see here, Hannah says she is drinking hot water and lemon. Ooh, hot water and lemon. Someone's told me that is very good to start your day, is to drink warm water, hot water. I didn't know it was hot water and lemon. It's supposed to clear out your whole system before you start your day. I see here, Kimmy says she is drinking lemonade, equal Arnold Palmer. Look, Amparo says she did a podcast that's Figure It Out, should be released soon. I cannot wait. Make sure you let us know about it, Amparo, so we can support you. We can support. And so what else? What do you got? Who else is in the room? Who else is in here? What are you drinking? The question is, what are you drinking this morning? What are you drinking this morning? Daya's in the building. Whoa, what's going on, Daya? It's always a delight to see you in the building. And what are you guys drinking this morning? Look, Alieze said that's her morning drink as well. That's my morning drink, hot water and lemon. Well, I have cold water with lemon and orange, lemon slices, orange slices with agave to start my day. Yes, I need a little sugar boost from my agave. And here we go. What else are you guys drinking out there? What are you drinking this morning as you are tuning in? And so, but anyway, today, in case you're just joining in, today is our Motivation Monday. That's what we're about on this day. It is all about motivation. But there's some headlines I wanted to bring to your attention and some thoughts I wanted to bring to your attention because I thought was really something that we need to talk about. I think it'll be good to listen on this. And the first thing is the polls. The polls. And since no one does it better than Morning Joe, you know, I look at Morning Joe every morning, but I'm going to use some footage from them today. Since I couldn't watch it with you guys together, I'm going to watch it with you guys now. A couple of clips of two subjects that I thought was really good, that was really fascinating, and that we could address. And I wanted to know what you guys are thinking, what you guys are feeling in your area about the polls. How are your friends and family feeling? What's the pulse you're getting from the people around you, in your neighborhood, at the barbershop, at the beauty parlor? Are people talking about it? Are people talking about the election? Are they going to vote? How are they feeling about the vote? How are they feeling about Kamala? Yeah. Brian said he needs a couple of minutes. No problem, B. Whenever. But here's something that I wanted to share. Here we go. And let me get there.
Showing a major shift in the 2024 race. In the latest survey, Vice President Kamala Harris leads former President Donald Trump by 5 points, 49% to 44% among registered voters nationwide. Although that result is within the margin of error, it marks a change from the previous NBC News poll conducted back in July, where Trump led President Joe Biden by 2 points. Since then, Harris has nearly doubled Biden's lead over Trump with women voters, going from 11 points to 21 points. Harris's favorability rating has also soared since July, with 48% of voters now saying they view her positively compared to 32% in the last poll. Trump's favorability has essentially stayed the same since July, with 40% viewing him positively now. Despite being the sitting vice president, Harris leads Trump by 9 points when voters were asked which candidate better represents change. And when asked which candidate they trust more to handle top issues, Trump still leads in most areas, though by smaller margins than in a January poll. Voters trust Trump by 21 points on immigration, by 9 points on the economy, and by 6 points on handling crime. Harris, meanwhile, is trusted more to handle abortion rights by 21 points after Biden led by 12 in January. Joining us now, NBC News senior political editor, Mark.
That is, I am still, my girl Alieze is in the building. I got to bring her on because I need a discussion. I need to talk. What's going on, Alieze?
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Oh, man. I mean, I look at those polls, and I guess one is we can definitely say she is surging much better. And still, we need to get that spread to be like 5 or 6%. It is 5% right now in the national poll. But some analysts say she needs to be like in the 6% area to give it a more than what we need. And but I am still amazed of, days, I had to take a walk away from politics this weekend because I was like, there are just too many ignorant people in this country. There are just too many people that don't read, that don't know what's going on. And I said, how is it possible? The man that interrupted and ended the immigration bill still is trusted with immigration.
Right. How is that? And why is that?
Why is that?
Or the man who's been bankrupt 6 times,
Yes.
The economy.
Yes.
And I just want to keep reminding people, his term did not start in 2020.
No.
So let's be real clear. Up to that point, he had 3 years. And what he did was help the deficit go out of control.
That wasn't
just because of 2020. It was because of his entire time in office. And I think we concentrate so much on 2020, we forget he was already there. But to trust him with the economy.
Even in 2020, the economy was not doing well. No, everyone was in shutdown. We were at home. We were not working. Most people were not working in 2020. They were still coming along, plunging, trying to just find a job. That's why people were out protesting, because they had no work.
Right. That was already there, right? So we have to really remember that. But the whole immigration issue, he was there. And he had a Senate. He had the House and the Senate.
Exactly.
So why didn't they do anything about the border besides talk about a wall that he was going to have Mexico pay for, which we knew wasn't going to happen? He didn't do anything then. He didn't beef up the border patrol, any of that stuff.
None of it.
And so then he interrupts the border control bill that the most conservative Republicans on the Hill helped craft.
Yes.
Because he didn't want Biden to look good. He wanted to come in and do it himself. And so he's not thinking, but people don't understand, he doesn't care about the country.
He does about himself.
And for him to still be, them to think positively with him on any issues right now is probably beyond our imaginations. But there are so many people out here who are willfully ignorant.
Willfully ignorant.
They have chosen not to be informed.
Yes.
I don't care who they are. They've chosen not to be informed. Celebrities, regular people, whoever it is. Janet Jackson chooses not to be informed.
What was that with Janet Jackson this weekend? I saw that pop across my screen this morning. What was that about Janet Jackson? She said she doesn't know Kamala, or she doesn't know what happened.
So her whole thing was she doesn't know much about Kamala Harris. She heard that her father that she's not black. She's Indian. Her father is white.
Yes.
Her father is white. And people, people came for her. There's like, you have your niece who says she's black, but look at her. She doesn't look like that. And so they came for her, like, on a personal level, and her saying that's what she's been told. That's why I say willfully ignorant.
Yeah, we got Google. If you want to know policies, go to Google. If you want to know what someone is doing, go to Google. If you want, you got all of it laid out. You can go to Wikipedia. Most of it's laid out. You can go to us.gov. You can go to .gov. You can go. I don't understand. Well, again,
And
it's
okay
woefully
yes, and
decision to be
willfully
ignorant.
So, and be okay with saying, I don't know, I don't have an opinion. Don't sit up there and make up stuff or repeat misinformation. It's whoever she's dealing with and how they're handling her. I don't know what's happening with her, but they have multiple issues. So
Jazzy says, listen, the Jackson family and generations never needs to be asked political questions. And this is true. They've never been coherent.
And they should not answer them.
They should never ask them that
answer the question. Just say, I don't know.
I do not know.
I don't know. Whatever it is, just be quiet. Just like next question. Just say next question.
Tom says, oh, good grief, Miss Jackson.
Next question.
It's just, I'm just floored. Like I said, I have to take moments of just getting away from politics. I was watching these great series on Hulu, The Old Man. If you have not seen it, it's a great show called The Old Man. It's about FBI agent and yada, yada, yada. But anyway, great show. I spent the whole weekend watching it. And, but because you need to take, because I'm a political junkie. I look at politics all the time, all day, every day. When I'm working, it's politics. I know it's ridiculous. However, this weekend, I also took some time to read my book. I did my 7-mile walk yesterday, and all I did was listen to history and walk and listen to history. And you got to give yourself a break. And for those that are out there that are like me, we have to take moments of mental rest from the political crazy, because if you don't, you would lose it, because you can't figure out how is it possible that we all live in the same country, we all have seen the same news, maybe not. Let me rephrase that, because some people are stuck on Fox.
Right.
And that's not news. That's entertainment. That's entertainment. So, but even if you're looking at Fox, there's newspapers, there's mainstream news, ABC News, NBC, CBS. If you're looking at the evening news or you're looking at the morning news, there's other ways besides Fox. But I know some people just stuck on Fox. But still, how is it possible that people stuck on stupid and they don't have the curiosity.
They don't want to know.
Like for me, I am a Kamala Harris. I am. I'm a fan. I'm a surrogate. I push out everything it is to talk about Kamala and Kamala and Walz. And when it was Biden, I was doing it. Right. I am a Democratic supporter, even though I'm not a Democrat in title. I am an independent.
Right.
And I watch these people, and I just can't. I just don't understand how you cannot be curious. I watch Fox sometimes just to see what's going on over there, because I am curious about what is going on, to help me understand why these people believe what they believe. So it's okay to understand, they're always saying not to call Fox people enemy, but I'm using the phrase that it is true warfare. Because I used to study warfare when I was a kid. I was fascinated by the Civil War, the Vietnam War, World War I, World War II, the Revolutionary War, the Korean War. Even though Korean War, I'm going to have a vague history on it, but I was always curious about war. But one of the number one things about war for generals is to know thy enemy.
Absolutely.
You have to. That's why we have what's called reconnaissance. People go in. That's why we have spies. They're on the other side, looking in and listening to what's going on, so they can bring back the details and you can make better strategic decisions.
You know, they're saying, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer.
There you go.
so you know what's coming. That's what Daya put up there about her brother being a Republican and her publicist. So you never know what they're saying. Who knows?
Oh yeah, she says her brother Randy is a Republican and is her manager publicist. So I am not surprised by her response.
Right, that she responded.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. And I think that, you know, I was listening to someone, I don't know, it was on I don't know what show it was because I'm not watching TV, so I just saw a clip somewhere, and the guy who was sitting up there was saying, you know, he was talking to the woman, and they were talking about sharing. Kamala Harris need to share this or that, right?
Yes.
We don't know how she feels about Gaza and the state. Well, she said there should be a two-state solution. She said it during the debate. She said it since the debate. She keeps saying it.
She said it at the DNC.
So therefore, you're choosing
yes
not to hear it, right? That's a choice, especially if you're supposed to be important enough or significant enough. I'll say significant enough for someone to have on a show and ask you a question, for that to be your response. At that point, you have chosen to ignore.
Yes.
That's a choice because she said it multiple times.
Janice says Fox is not entertainment.
And it's not.
It's a lie machine. It's a liar machine. It's a
dangerous machine.
It's a dangerous platform.
Because you have some people who say in certain parts of the country, it's hard to get anything but that.
Well, no, when you drive outside, even in New York, every diner, most dentist offices, most medical offices, most laundromats, most bars are tuned into Fox. I don't care. And if you're outside of New York City, it's even more so. Every hotel I've been to in the last 15 years is always on Fox. It's always on Fox. And you wonder why the country is so ignorant. Because that's what they tune into.
Right. That is what they tune into. That's what they listen to. That's where they I guess most comfortable. I don't know. And you know, so many people we still have to go into them using fear and hatred to get people to stay on the side, right? So there's a lot of that fear mongering. So I think that's a big part for some people. And then when you hear people talk, it's like when Jazzy said it's so annoying sometimes. When you hear people speaking, it's like, just take the mic.
Just take it. Exactly. Just take it away from them, really.
And I still think for me on social media, because I'm trying to cut that back as well. You know, I haven't watched.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're on a diet.
Yeah, I'm on a fast for 21 days, right? So even on social media, there's still too much reposting the negativity. I don't care if they said it. You don't have to post it.
That's right.
And because most of the time you're posting because you don't agree with it. If you don't agree with it, don't post it. We don't all have to hear that. We don't. For me, that's not about keeping your enemy closer. That's about continuing to let that misinformation or intentional misinformation recirculate. You don't have. That's not our job.
Yeah.
You need to be posting the positive stuff. You need to be posting and telling people that what's happening in Georgia, where these people to get 100,000 names off the ballot. I mean, off the rolls in the county, Fulton County, which is where Atlanta is. And the court turned the court turned them down. They took it to court, and the court pushed it back on it. We need to make sure we're paying attention to things like that, where hundreds of thousands of people's names are being removed off rolls in different states, and you're not paying attention enough to make sure that you're checking you need to check your voter registration every week. October the 7th.
Right. Every week.
Until then, you need to keep checking it, because you still have people in some states that are challenging. How can two people challenge 100,000 names? 100,000 names.
Well, we have Mr. B in the background. Mr. B, how you doing, sir? How was it to be with the Scandal crew?
That was
scandalous.
The scandalous.
Yeah.
Scandala.
I don't know if I'm becoming jaded or just like, you know,
Well, we're all jaded on some
yeah,
level.
but I tell you, like, there's only a handful of people or celebrities or whatnot that I've met in my life that have left me, um, maybe not speechless, but at a loss of words. Like Thursday when I turned and she was right there, and all I could muster was "girl," and she looked at me like. But the Scandal crew yesterday, when I got word that okay, the cast of Scandal, I thought, is it really, the cast? Because it's like you could hear, or I assume many of us have seen things where like, yeah, there's this reunion tour of such and such band, and it turns out there's like one original member, and but when the bus pulled up and I'm like, excuse me, I actually turned in person. I was like, really? That's
it was the whole cast.
The whole cat, like boom, 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 and then I didn't plan to go live, but at the last minute I did, and I gotta be like you professionals out there. I gotta carry
Get yourself a little stick.
Well, yeah, my little tripod, because obviously holding with your hand gets a lot of.
That's right. You get, and then next thing you know, your hand's like it's frozen.
Yeah, and that was great. I just on a sidebar, I wish that Instagram, when I was live on Instagram, I wish it has a capability for you to photograph as well as shoot the live, because afterwards they came down, fit Tony Goldwyn, who played President Bellamy Young. They came down and were doing selfies with people.
Yeah, I saw the selfie moment. At first they were trying to do the selfie from the stage, and then they said, no, we need to get down with the people. So what was your greatest takeaway from the event yesterday?
The focus. Don't get it twisted that, okay, these are celebrities, but as Kerry Washington said, when in the past several years, things have come up where you get hashtagged, we need Olivia Pope to handle it. And she made it plain. That's a character. Yes. I'm an actor. That's not real. Focus. Their celebrity is great, but we all need to focus. Get out, knocking on doors, making calls, donating this is my time, talent, or treasure. And yesterday I got back out there. I didn't canvas as much as I did. I think I did maybe 45 minutes, almost an hour, but I'm slowly trying to, but my takeaway after seeing all of them, that's great. But from all of them, and then from what I heard, after I, turned off the live and I just kind of milled around, focus, and that they're real people. The actor, I'm drawing a blank on his name, who played Cyrus, and he's played in other. He played Meredith Gray's dad on Grey's Anatomy. Nash Bridges. He's an older gentleman, and I was just listening. And some things you don't need a video. Some things you don't need to take a selfie. Just be present, because listening to him, and he's having some medical issues, and I'm like, wow, to have this celebrity who's still a human saying that he's had some medical things going on with him that's causing him to look at Medicare, Medicaid, the impact of that. But yeah, my takeaway, focus, is that was from everything that I heard, and I saved the live there. It's about 30, I think maybe it's less than an hour. But anybody wants to go to my Instagram and look at it. You could fast forward past our local political representatives. I think it starts about maybe 28 minutes into it when the Scandal cast comes out. But yeah,
it's really good, good. Here's something that Morning Joe also said. I'm gonna just pop into Morning Joe's conversation. Elise, you want to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just said they're right. We just need to focus. We need to not be distracted by all of the stuff on the side.
Yeah,
I love that. Here's also something from Morning Joe I wanted to share with you guys, and this was another part. This is after Joe and Mika talking about the debunking the false narratives in the presidential race and how all this equivalencies and saying, oh, they're doing the same thing on both sides, or the Democrats are being, the rhetoric is rough on the Democrat side, and they're just as equal to the Republicans, and their negativity and yada yada yada, and hope, and how the media has totally taken on this framework of totally trashing, almost they bring up these false equivalencies which do not exist. It is Trump is doing the negative, and the Democrats are not. Is Trump doing what he's doing, and well, you listen on, you can hear the response. Hold on a second, let me get you the response.
I don't know about child. So seriously, do you have no shame? Do you really have no shame? Are you so desperate to not vote for Kamala Harris that you will actually twist and contort yourself so badly that you undermine decades of good work? Because that's what's happening right now. And we can see through you. This is like romper room. I don't have the mirror to hold up, but we see you and we see what you're doing. And if you think that's bad, stick around for the 7 o'clock hour when Mika takes us through the lies and the false equivalencies about political violence in America. And there's even a Wall Street Journal writer who's accusing Democrats of killing Donald Trump. Oh, they put a question mark after it. But blaming Democrats for violent rhetoric, and never once mentioning, Dan Henninger, in your column, that Donald Trump inspired January 6th, that Donald Trump stared repeatedly, we learned, at the most violent moments on January 6th, instead of calling it off, that those riots where cops were brutalized because of Donald Trump, brutalized, and 4 later died, their families say, as a direct result of January 6th. Donald Trump called those people that the cops' families say are responsible for their deaths, and those people that beat and brutalized cops with American flags, call them patriots. He said they're hostages. Has a January 6th choir. He told his legal counsel in the White House that maybe Mike Pence deserved lynching on the day of January the 6th. He said that Mark Milley should be executed for treason. He has used violent rhetoric repeatedly. You try to whitewash it and say it's the Democrats that are responsible for violent rhetoric because they say that Donald Trump may be a threat to American democracy. What do you call January the 6th? Is that a threat to American democracy? Is the intentional calling of a mob to go to Capitol Hill and say, I'll be with you. I'll be right back. I'll be with you. Saying you have to be strong to stop Congress from the constitutional counting of the Electoral College, of those votes. Do you not call that a threat to democracy? Do you not call it a threat to democracy when Donald Trump says that he wants to execute the chairman of the Joint Chiefs for treason? Is that not a threat? Saying that your vice president deserves lynching, saying that to your legal counsel on January 6th, is that not a threat to democracy? Undermining Americans' confidence in voting? When you know, because the Wall Street Journal editorial page has been very clear. And I will say, have done the right thing repeatedly, calling out Donald Trump's lies when it comes to widespread election fraud.
So you get it. So the whole thing is that again, there is no one more violent. There's no one that has done more and is more of a threat to this country than Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
And it's for newspapers and people to say, it was like, I was looking at Bill Maher on Friday, and then one gentleman on the panel was like, well, she's not giving us enough information. She's not giving us information. She is like, Come on. Wait. And then she said, who are you voting for? Well, he said, I'm not voting for Trump. So then what's the problem? You already have enough information.
I have
Nothing to say.
Nothing.
I gotta hop off because
no, you gotta do your thing. I'm gonna let you go.
I just want to I encourage people. This is my opinion. I feel like there should not be any undecideds. I assume there still are, but there shouldn't be. It's a clear, in my opinion, it is a clear difference between the two parties that we have, the two individuals that we have. Any third party, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Morning Joe, Bill Maher on Friday. I watch Real Time with Bill Maher frequently, consistently. At this point, in my opinion, try not to get gaslit, because for me, I'm like, y'all just doing this crap on purpose just to trigger me, and I'm not going to be triggered. I know my North Star personally. I will engage conversation with people if I get a sense that we can have a healthy debate, even if it's an orange supporter, if it's a healthy interaction. If they are hard, nope. I got to protect my mental and emotional being. I know where I'm going. A lot of these, I will say, a lot of these individuals who are trying to do the well on both sides. No, there are some things that there are no both sides. Racism is racism. Anti-Semitism is anti-Semitism. There are no two sides to something that is clearly wrong and right. And when we hear people, I need to know a little bit more. Excuse, mofo, what more do you need? When
the whole thing is, we know that
you are not listening.
This is not this of all the presidential elections, you could not have more of a contrast.
Right.
There is not. I mean, this is wrong or right. This is racist, not racist. This is prejudice, misogynist, not misogynist. This is a criminal versus a defendant of the people. This, I mean, you could not get anything more extreme. The reason why people are coming up with whatever they're coming up with is, one, they're using excuses because they don't want to vote for a woman. They're using excuses because they want to vote for a black person. They're using excuses for whatever that case would be. I saw also an interview this weekend, which they interviewed like 25 black young men. I almost pulled my, well, I don't have any more hair left, but I have a little bit left. I almost pulled the last strands of my hair out of my head because, sorry for the New Yorker sounds in the background, but these young men are so misinformed. And the gentleman, the black gentleman who is on his show, the defendant. I'll put the link to it. But it's so the young men have no clue about white supremacy. They have no clue about what is going on, Project 2025, or their relationship to our history as black people or people of color fighting for rights. They don't have a clue. This panel discussion, I just sat there and said, these are our black men. These are our men of color. Most of them are black men, young men, all under 25. And they are clueless of history, clueless of American history, clueless of civil rights, clueless. And the list just kept going on and on and on, and how they love Trump. And he gave him money, or he gave him a check, or all of these oh, he's a man. He represents a tough man, and you just would just like ready to just like, and you just, our system has failed our young people across the board. Well, and this is white and black. When you run around and you see these white kids that have lost their minds and running around with their guns and shooting people and shooting up their classes. That's because they're uneducated, misled, and not understanding what the worldview is.
Right.
I take responsibility for my part in that. I feel like it's both. I just had my family Zoom last night. I think I may have mentioned, I don't know, it's been over a month now or so. We keep encouraging everyone out here, do your part. And I heard in my spirit, well, check your own house first. And I kept getting louder. So I sent out a family invite to the men in my family, thinking 11 would show up, and over 70 showed up on the Zoom. and we're talking like people I'm not even directly related to, like a cousin who sent it to like his cousin on the other side of his family's uncles. I'm like, it just spiderweb. Last night, we just had a follow-up, and throughout this education period of getting people registered, making sure people within my family circle are not getting purged from voter rolls, it's also having to educate, especially the younger ones. I've got some second or third, what do you call it? My cousin's kids who are in that demo, who are believing the hype, who don't know the history. And I feel like that's partly our school.
That's a lot of our fault. I'm not teaching our kids.
And so we throughout our next sessions, I'm trying to earmark in there like a quick little what I call like an appetizer, an educational appetizer. Just pick out one thing and say, hey, by the way, did you know what the Voting Rights Act was? Hey, did you know that women didn't, or when they got the right to vote, Black women didn't get the right to vote at the same time? And so little nuggets like that, it's just baffling to me, especially from the family in which I grew up in, where both my grandparents were educators, my Black and white grandparents, who made damn sure that my dad and his siblings and that our generation of grandkids knew, but somewhere along that, we've had a breakdown. And sorry, I got to hop off.
Thank you, buddy.
No problem.
No problem. But it was just, I mean, here I live in New York City, obviously, and we have a large Jewish population. And so I remember growing up with a lot of Jewish families. My dad used to be my adopted dad used to take us to Delancey Street, and I used to hear them engaging in conversation and all that stuff. I was like 16 years old, 17 years old, and we would go shopping, and he had all my dad always had all these Jewish friends. I mean, they were everywhere, and we went to all these places, and I was like, you're really a Black Jew. You're a Black Jewish man. You're a Jewish man trapped in a Black body. And I used to tease him all the time. So we used to go to these different places. And one thing I have to, people can say what they want about Jewish people or Jewish faith. They have everyone has something to say, especially in New York. But one of the things I will always give Jewish people credit is they keep instilling generation after generation after generation history.
Right.
They keep, I mean, when you come out of the womb, they're singing songs about history. They're telling you about their history. They're reciting the history. They're letting you know the trials. They're letting you know the woes. They're letting you know the obstacles. They're letting you know. My Jewish friends, when I was on Wall Street, their parents instilled over and over and over and over, every family gathering, over and over, every event, over and over. I said, I just wish we could somehow, I know we are far removed in some cases, but we have to figure out a way as people to share. I mean, the rest of us out here, sharing our history with our kids don't know. I mean, Kimmy said it like this. She says, they are so far removed. Our Black boys and girls, or Hispanic boys and girls, or our indigenous boys and girls, a lot of them have become successful, or their parents are successful. They have money, they've accumulated wealth, they've accumulated, maybe they're middle class, maybe whatever the case may be. But they're so far removed from the struggle. But it doesn't have to be that way, because being close to the struggle is about education. The
Right.
more you educate them, the more you remember, the more you stay connected, the more things that you say, I need to be warned about. I need to figure out, not to do that. Or like my Jewish friend would say to me, Ron, make sure you get dual citizenship, or make sure you get your passport. Make sure you do. And we were probably 5 years in age difference, but his parents had so much instilled in them because of the Holocaust.
Right, because they said you never forget.
Yes.
Like, that's their whole focus, is never forgetting. And we have to put it all in perspective. Like, this is probably one of those emotional subjects for me.
Yes.
When we look at the Jewish community, they were given the opportunity and some resources.
Yes.
We never got.
True.
Right. People haven't really spent time trying to intentionally separate them from each other.
True.
Right. And so that's been the intentionality of America, for particularly Black Americans, and any other people who come from the African diaspora to this country, or anyone coming they're told that the least person, the person you should stay away the most is a Black American person.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so we struggle with that. We struggle with when you have a legacy of the type of history they are able to convey to their children. Think about what we're able to convey to our children, and who controls where that knowledge comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that we have to think about that part. For some of their history, they can go and they can look at the Torah and see that.
Yes.
Where's that book that kind of history book that we can look at, a historical document that we can look at
of
our past,
our
outside
roots
of enslavement, right? And where we're treated that way, where we're told to be that way, where we're told, and then we do migration and all those things. The communities, that close-knit communities that we had, are no longer that way, and we bought into the individualism of don't talk to my child like that. And then, when that came out in the atmosphere, you don't let people talk. Where'd that come from? Because the community and I grew up in this community.
Yes.
In Alabama, the same on my block in East Cleveland, Ohio. It was a community. I watched those children. The mothers were inside. They did what I said, because the mother said, I trust you with them.
That's right.
There was a wedge put in there. And as I always tell people this, and people are like, oh, Willie Lynch was a real person. I don't care if Willie Lynch was not a real person. The effect of the Willie Lynch's letter on the Black people has always been effective. And listening to a story, or something I was listening to last night about doing slavery time, and how it was all about getting people to tell about each other, why Black rebellions during that time didn't work, but because they told other Black people, if you tell, we'll give you something, we'll set you free, we'll do all of these things, we'll give you a piece of land if you snitch on your people. So that's why most of those rebellions were knocked down, because of the promise of something to those people. And so we do have to control what that narrative is. And Jazzy has talked about this, and in my, I had my first in-person art talk with the artist.
Yes, you did.
And the artist is a part in there, and I have to find it so I can really highlight this. Where she is now, she said, Jazzy and I have had this conversation. We don't know enough about what happened during Reconstruction with our people after enslavement. During that time, they built towns. They became legislators. They were responsible for free public education, particularly in the southern states. They put that legislation in place. And most people don't know that. There was a civil rights bill that came up in the 1800s. We don't talk. We have to remember that as well. But we don't know. We don't talk about Reconstruction, and there's a reason why history doesn't dwell on. They say, "Oh, slavery and Reconstruction," but there's very little on Reconstruction.
But you know, it's interesting you say that, because I'm reading a book on white supremacy or in America, and it was talking about how Greenwood, and how, for those folks that know, in Tulsa, the Black Wall Street, and there was many neighborhoods like that, but they were the best. They were the top. They were the best of all the Black communities. They had so much wealth. The money, the dollar, recycled among themselves so many times that kept them growing. And so the country had gone through the country was going through a recession, slight depression in some places, and what the white surrounding towns they hated them for their wealth, and that they were prospering during where all the other counties, which were white, were suffering. They had no jobs, they had no, and how they went in and went into Greenwood and literally killed 300 or plus more, because they still don't know the exact number. Burned down everything, came in with biplanes and bombed the area. And just killed children, old people. They didn't care who they were. They just went in and just killed them all as much as they could kill. But for many years after, they suppressed the story. And the story did not come back to surface like in a real national form until the 2000s, 2010, where it now, takes on a whole, like, we want to know more about what happened. But every time they would try to share it in a magazine, share it in a newspaper, put it in a history book, it got shot down or destroyed along the way. And they were saying after 150, it was 150 years. 150 years now, you are getting all that information. And I say that to say is that we have to be focused, and we have to be steadfast and continue. I mean, when you think about that, at Capitol Hill, where these 3 people left from Oklahoma, the Oklahoma terrorization, 110, 115, 106, and 100. So it's 100, 115, 106. And I was like, how amazing. But they kept living so they can see this, this bill pass. Unfortunately, the Oklahoma legislator just put their thumbs down to it.
And for me, you think about that, right?
Yeah.
And what we have to understand that. So everyone has received compensation for destruction. Everyone except for Black Americans.
Everyone. The Japanese have. The Japanese. Israel. Yeah, everywhere.
Former slave owners.
Former slave owners got their
Former slave owners got reparations for the the property they lost. So everyone has received compensation. Here you are with something that took place there. It took place there, and you refuse to compensate those people who and their descendants, because there's still other family members out there. Those are the ones who were born during that time.
Yes.
For what happened. And that just, to me, that's just ridiculous. But it is, we have to make sure they silence everything. So all of the books that are out there that would help you, particularly written by Black Americans, that would help you find all this information, those are all on the banned book list.
Yeah. Ibrahim, and I would say, and I would also say extension of the indigenous people. I mean, when you think about the history that has been erased, even just something as simple as the history of the Trail of Tears. and what was going. I mean, this whole book I'm reading is on Oklahoma. This chapter, and it talks about the Opay. I think it's the Opay Indians,
which was their territory,
which was their territory that had oil on it, and then they get oil, then they get a wealth. They're wealthy. These people are the indigenous people. They are wealthy, which they ended up getting that land because they were taken off their land which they were living in Alabama, but then they were shipped over to the Oklahoma territories, and then they happened to put them on a land that had oil, and then you had all of these people that were marrying them to kill them.
Specifically, state who the people were.
Oh, the
white people, white men in particular.
That's right. The white.
That's what that whole movie was about.
Yeah, we saw the movie, and I
didn't watch it. I couldn't watch it.
I saw the movie, and I didn't know anything about them until I saw the movie, and now I'm reading the book. I wish I would have read the book before I saw the movie, because I'm learning. So now I can put the whole thing together. And I said, oh, they took all these pieces from all these stories and put it in the movie, and so. And these people came in, married them because and then they also, the indigenous people had what's called overseers of their money. So they passed laws that you had to have an overseer to manage your money, because you were an Indian or a native, and you couldn't organize your own finances. And so they had a white person come in and would oversee your finances, the money that you accumulated from the oil that was found. It is, if you read the story,
they killed some of the women they married.
And they killed a lot of them. They said up to 150 women were married and killed, and they would use it through they would poison them and then take their land, because the only way to get that land was through the offspring. And the offspring being the child. So they would impregnate them to get the offspring so they can then have the land. Man, yesterday I was feeling some kind of way. As I was taking my walk, I was having a moment. I was halfway through my walk, and I got to that chapter, and I was like, holy. I said, I have to watch myself. Some of the things that are going through my head, I can't say in public, but I tell you, I just sat there and said, these people of that time were they were just, there's no other word to describe but evil. When you can take humanity and do what these people have done to people of color or people that live outside of the doctrine of discovery, and how you pin your flag and it belongs to Christianity, and you now take their land because, I mean, that's all it took. That's a whole nother topic. But anyway, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to go dive into Motivation Monday, give you guys some encouraging words about before we go. Yes, go ahead.
Talking about that they had with the young black men.
Yes.
My hope is that don't just ask them things, but give them information, because sometimes people are sitting in these environments, they're asking them questions, but you don't hear people giving them the information all the time.
Yes.
They must give them factual information, help them and help pique their curiosity, because sometimes they don't know and you have to tell them something. Did you know? And sometimes people really don't know because they aren't listening to things. They aren't reading things. They don't know some of the things, particularly that the former president has said or done. They're just listening to the hype around him. They're not even concentrating on the facts. And sometimes when they hear the facts, it was like, wow, I didn't know that. Because when you have the union man out here, you're going to say you're going to support this man who's an anti-union person. And then people are saying how excited they are about not taxing overtime, but they don't understand that according to this whole thing in Project 2025, if you're excited about that, read it, because overtime is going to become your PTO.
Yes.
Which means that you're going to take that leave. And guess what happens when you do that? They're going to tax it.
That's right.
You're going to roll it into something that's taxable. So
remember, they want to get rid of the 40-hour week.
Right. The 40-hour week, they're going to have the overtime. So be aware of where the real scams are. And that's a scam. That's one of those things that make you excited about not taxing it, but they're not telling you that you're really not going to have overtime.
No overtime.
They're gonna put it in there, and it's going to be taxed, because when you take that week off, that PTO week off, that paid time off, they're gonna tax that paid time off.
It's
So I just want
crazy.
people to really be focused on that. Let's not forget about Project 2025.
Let's not forget and keep
it's
sharing
out
it.
there. It's real. It's starting to be enacted. And then the last thing we need to make sure we're conscious of. There are 5 people down in Georgia, the ones that are looking at election issues down in Georgia, right? 3 of them are Trump supporters. Those are the people who have to certify the votes.
Yes.
And they have already said that they're going to impede that, which means if they don't get that vote doesn't get ratified, it goes to, then somebody doesn't get those, you don't get 270. It ends up in that house.
Well, that's how we got to push. We got to do overwhelming.
That what they're doing around the country is getting people in those election positions who will not ratify the election.
That's right.
Results.
This is all about cheating, y'all. This is all about power grab.
They're doing it all over the place.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about it. Well, we got the rest of the week.
So
just so you know what's coming this week. Tomorrow is our Tip Tuesday, so we're doing some photography tips. But we're gonna be talking politics. We always start our day with politics and news.
43 days.
And I do believe we have a really good special guest coming on Wednesday. If all things work together, we have a really spectacular guest coming on Wednesday, and then Thursday we'll be doing politics and all that stuff that we normally do, and Friday. We'll have another special guest as well. So this is going to be an interesting week. We got 2 special guests coming on this week. So let's just get excited and support what's going on. Again, I have not been putting up. Shame on me for not putting my little banner up.
Little banner on there.
My little banner, right? What's going on? What's happening? Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and join us on YouTube or at Ron Lewis Photos. If you are in the Instagram world, make sure you come over to the YouTube channel, because that's where we are. I see Jamel in the building. What's going on, Jamel? How you doing, sir? And so we'll be talking. Jamel Shabazz and I will be talking as well. I am supposed to be going to an event with tomorrow to support him. I'm so excited. And anytime Jamel wants me to do something, I'm in it. I'm in it. Just tell me where to go, what to do. I'm there. So I'm excited about that. Maybe I'll also share a little bit on the move from there. Okay, let's get into some motivation tips today. I'm going to put this on the screen. Alieze, I'm going to let you go.
Oh, no problem.
Thank you, my dearest. Love you.
Have a good day. And if you haven't seen my clip on my Instagram page for my first in-person artist talk with an audience.
Yes.
You can check it out.
She did an amazing job. I'm so proud of Alieze as she steps into the media, social media world, and building her community and sharing all her amazing knowledge on art. She is an art collector, and she shares so much. She supports so many artists. Check her out. Check out what she does. And so go to her page. And okay, and I'm going to let her go. Bye, Alieze. So here we go. I'm going to share this screen with you all and get this little motivation thing off the screen so it'll be cleared. And so today is Motivation Monday, and we want to make sure I close out with this. I know that we took a little longer to get to it, but we had a lot to talk about today. So that's there's no excuse in that. And so I'm not apologizing for the conversation. I think everyone learned something today's conversation. We did several, but today we are talking about the real art of photography. And this is a different move on how I'm doing this Motivation Monday. You can find this Motivation Monday in my Patreon. This is on my Patreon page. So those that have never been to my Patreon page, you can go to Patreon and just put in Ron Lewis Photos. And there you go. And so check out my page on Patreon. You can also become a member and support what I do here. You can become, you can just go to the page. You'll see what it is and look at it and support. Your financial support is always needed because that's how we get all these little bells and whistles and stuff on here. So that way the community pays for this as well. So anyway, here we go. The real art of photography. The real art of photography is based on this quote. Creativity is allowing yourself to make mistakes. Art is knowing which ones to keep. Scott Adams is the person that said that quote. And in it, it says, in photography and creative arts, this quote serves as a powerful reminder that the journey to creating something extraordinary is often paved with trial and error. Creativity thrives on experimentation, and it's through this process that we discover new perspectives and techniques. Next, number one, I should say, allowing yourself to make mistakes. This is so important, guys. Creativity is about pushing boundaries and exploring uncharted territories. It's about giving yourself the freedom to try new things, even if they don't always work out as planned. Mistakes are not failures. They are opportunities to learn and grow. Each misstep teaches us something valuable and brings us closer to our unique style and vision. I could tell you lots of stories about this one, but I'm not. I'm going to keep going. But definitely allowing yourself to make mistakes is so important to the creative process. We can never become better photographers unless we make lots of mistakes. You can't be a better creative unless you make mistakes. It is our mistakes that teaches us how to make a better product for the public, our customers, and for the planet. Next one, art is knowing which ones to keep. Artistry lies in the ability to discern which of those creative experiments resonate the most. It's about recognizing the moments of brilliance within the chaos and refining them into something meaningful. This process of selection and redefinement is what transforms raw creativity into art. It's where you personally touch and artistic voice shine through, and your artistic voice shines through. So remember that. Art is knowing which ones to keep, because a lot of times you make mistakes. And how many times are my mistakes as a photographer turns out to be something really beautiful? Like I posted this photo of the flares on the Manhattan Hinge, and I turned it into black and white. I had never done that before. I had never taken a sunset and put it into black and white. But it was it wasn't technically something I planned. And the way it looks like something from another world. But it just so happened that the neon lights were flashing at such a rate that it kept casting these amazing colors on the crowd, which made for this amazing photo. And then I posted it, and people were like, oh my gosh, I love this photo. I'm loving this photo. It was not intentional. I did not plan it. It was tickling. It was a technical mistake, if I would call it. But it turned out to be really cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to keep this one. This is a good photo. So art is knowing which ones to keep. Next one. This one is particularly to the photographers in the room. For photographers, this means embracing the imperfect shots, the unexpected angles, and the spontaneous moments. It's about finding beauty in the unplanned and turning those instances into compelling visual stories. Man, I gotta read that one more time. For photographers, this means embracing the imperfect shots, the unexpected angles, and the spontaneous moments. It's about finding beauty in the unplanned and turning those instances into compelling visual stories. Man, that makes me so happy. So remember, Some of the most iconic photographs were born out of serendipity and the willingness to embrace the unexpected. Man, isn't that true? Some of the most famous photos you've ever seen, all the amazing photographers that made them famous were You want to hear a story about Afghan Girl? I remember this story for Afghan Girl with Steve McCurry. He said he just happened to be changing his roll of film because back then he had a roll of film. He said the camera ran out, so he had to go and change the film. And if he would have never changed the film, the film, it ran out of film. He had to go into the camera. He had to dive. He had to get low, and he had to get down and get into like this little protected place to change out the film. And as he rose up from changing the film, there she was, the Afghan girl. And he snaps the shot, kind of clicking the picture to get the film right. Clicking it, took the picture, and he's forever known for his photo, Afghan Girl. So embrace those moments that seem trial, those moments that seem like they are inconveniences. They may be the road or the moment to your next best thing. So, and if you happen to be on my Patreon page, or if you want to just do it here, you can do this on the YouTube channel. Embrace your creative journey with an open mind and a fearless heart. Remind yourself that every mistake is a stepping stone towards your next masterpiece. And here we go. Do you have any personal experiences or stories where a mistake led a great photo or a creative breakthrough? Sharing those could be incredibly inspiring for others. So if you have any of those stories, share them. Put them in the comments. That's what the comments are for. Share them. Encourage someone today. Encourage your friends today. Or tell people your story. Tell people how you became successful in a particular task, a particular moment, a particular thing, because you will be motivating them to work towards success. I hope that blesses someone today. I hope you're encouraged. I hope that this conversation today enlightens you. Get out there to vote. Get out there, share about Project 2025. Get out there and educate our young folks. Make sure all of our kids know the history of this country. Let them know. Share that information. Black, white, Asian. We all have a history in this country to share. Let's share our history so that we are not doomed to repeat the foes and the woes of our history. And like I said, get out there, share your gift, share your photography talent, share with all that you have, and share it with others. One, it'll motivate you. But number two, it will motivate others. Thank you for joining in. Tomorrow will be, again, it's our Tip Tuesday, and we will be doing some photography tips tomorrow. And I'm so excited about that. And I think that's it, guys. I think we're all squared away. Have a wonderful Monday. Have a wonderful week. If I don't see you for the rest of the week, have a great week. And but I will be here every day like I am, every day at 10 o'clock. Oh, sorry. Tomorrow's show, I forgot to say, is not going to be at 10 o'clock. I have a photo shoot in the morning, so I will not be on. We'll be on at 4 o'clock tomorrow. 4 o'clock. So I'll put that announcement out today so that way you guys can have it. But we will be on at 4 p.m. tomorrow because I have a big photo shoot going on for Verizon tomorrow. So I'll be doing that and in the morning, but I will be back. I will not miss you guys. I will not miss you. Not one day. I will be here. So we'll be on tomorrow at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. And I do think we might have a guest tomorrow as well. Okay, guys, I will see you tomorrow. And thank you for joining in. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you bring to the table. I appreciate you.